Hello and welcome. My name is CraftyGG and welcome to our latest episode of Roll for Discussion, a group of amateur and experienced Dungeons and Dragons players and dungeon masters. If you can't tell, I fall in the amateur section. And it's not just me that is talking to you this evening. I have with me Sarone.
Hello, it's been a while. Now that I'm out the military, I can finally join these sessions more often. At least that's what I hope.
Fantastic. We have Nathan.
What's up, guys? Got my glorious self again. Mind your ears, young ones.
And finally, we have our rules lawyer, Peter.
Always. As always. And as always, let me know if there's anything that, any weird facts or anything you've picked up this week that I might not know about.
Yep. Fantastic. All right, guys. So, as we've been doing with our sessions, we like to start things off with This Week as a Geek. Nerd! So I'm going to take it over to our military man, Sarone. Sarone, what have you been up to this week? Or the last couple of weeks? Because it has been quite a while since the last episode was aired.
I started planning a one-shot in the campaign universe I'm making.
Oh.
It's going to be a 4-player one-shot. And it's almost completely done, I would say. I mean, yeah. There's not much left to do.
Is there much you can tell us about it?
I mean, I was actually considering to invite you guys to play, but
Oh,
if I tell you guys about it,
that is true. That is true.
Does it have a level? What level will it be played at? Can you tell us that?
the player level will be around 11.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's a
I'm a bit
lot.
intrigued.
Because the enemies I want to use are just that powerful. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh gosh.
Intriguing.
Oh, fantastic. And how long have you been working on this?
Almost a month now, actually.
Oh, fantastic. Oh,
It's been going on at the same time as I'm making my campaign. It's in the same universe, and it's going to be the event that's going to take place is going to be like, let's say, a week before the campaign world begins. So
oh, fantastic.
it's going to influence the campaign world a little. So that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, now let's see. Now I'm just going to have that in the
Now
back
you
of my
gave
head
up
during this
curiosity.
entire session.
Now one's gonna be here like, crap, come on, Zero.
At what point does Sarone introduce the bears that we must wrestle?
He's like, and there's 10 bears, you must wrestle each one of them.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us, Sarone, and thank you very much for letting me have one of those spots. And now on to Nathan. What have you been up to this week as a geek?
Surprisingly, I did a lot of streaming this week, and apart from us starting Rumple's campaign, I did a lot of streaming as well this week.
Okay, cool. Anything in particular that you want to mention?
So far, it's been for some weird reason, a lot of Fall Guys.
Okay, well, fair enough.
I don't know why.
Oh, well, I think, wasn't there a new season not too long ago? I honestly
I
know
don't-
really nothing about Fall Guys, so
I
I'm
don't know,
probably talking
because
rubbish.
one of the other things I did do was CFVs, but it's just struggling to find people to play with sometimes.
Yeah, I can sympathise with that. That's what I used to play for a good few years, and unless you have like a core group, it's a very lonely game.
It is a very good. It's still fun, but just if I'm on my own, I just mostly want to try the tall tales, really.
Yeah, fair play.
Other than that, it's just
All right, cool.
shooting for some reason.
And if anyone wants to catch you on the streaming, where can they find you?
So if you want to catch me live, you gotta go to Nathan twitch.tv/Nathan Goes Live. But if you want to see my past live streams, they do get highlighted because I'm bloody lazy. But if you do want to go see past live streams that are edited with quotation marks, you can go over to my YouTube at Nathan Went Live.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. And how about yourself, Pete? What have you been up to this week as a geek?
Well, obviously I've just started Rumple's campaign with a few of us, so that makes my third simultaneous campaign that I'm in at the same time, not including Beyond the Witchlight if we get started with that again, which would make 4. and it's still not enough. Uh,
You have
so
three
so
campaigns.
so I'm also trying to get on with painting my Warhammer army, which is very slowly coming together.
He's a mega nerd.
I'm nerdy in multiple different ways. Oh,
Yeah,
and me and
yeah.
some friends are planning on doing some Project Magic the Gathering decks as well. So I have about 3 or 4 different nerdy things going on at the same time. So
Bro, I
Fantastic.
should like, bro, how can you keep up
money
with
is
all
a
those
is a
three
is
campaigns, bro? That's just impossible for me to
hopefully
do.
D&D is free, or money would become a serious problem.
That concludes our This Week as a Geek. And now we go on to our main topic. A rather can be considered controversial. Also can also be quite broad. And I think it's not as black and white as maybe some people might consider it. I think there's a lot more nuance to it. It is toxic behaviour in D&D. Now, we're gonna go through maybe some examples. We can use examples of what we've actually experienced in our own games. Now, it might be that, or maybe we can find other examples online. I do happen to have a list that has been considered like the 10 top toxic behaviors that can derail a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. We can go through that. But like with every session, when we get into our main topic, we're going to start first by let's get a definition of what we're actually talking about. So I pass this over to our rules lawyer, Pete. If you could please give our viewers what is the definition of toxic behavior?
So a toxic behavior is just something that someone is doing that will have a negative impact on the game. So that will be just either like outwardly disrupting it, or by making someone feel uncomfortable or have other negative emotions about the game as it goes.
I'll tell you what, let's just go around the table to start with and see what people can come up with is like what they think is examples of sort of toxic behavior. So I'll start with yourself, Saron. Could you give me a couple of examples? These don't have to be real life. This just could be like the first things that sort of come to your mind. If someone says to you a toxic player, what sort of things do you think of?
Someone who's full of themselves and only sees themselves and nothing else.
Okay, and so when you mean
Or
like
main
full of
character
themselves,
syndrome.
I was about to say, do you mean main character syndrome, or do you mean something a bit deeper than that?
Let's say they decided to take part in some kind of session just for the sole fact of being the best.
Okay.
And nothing else matters to them. So they don't try to get anything out the session except for being the best. So that's what I think is.
So
It's not like purely toxic, but only one goal just makes them toxic for everyone else.
So like a selfish attitude, you mean, like, so like they're not interested
Yes.
in like any teamwork, they don't care about other people's like characters, they're not really even interested in the story as much, they just want to do their own thing, don't really.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, okay. I can see that as an example. Good example. Okay, Nathan, how about yourself? What sort of things come to your mind if someone says to you, oh, so-and-so is a toxic player?
So I think I said 2 minutes ago, main character syndrome, where they just think it's all about them.
Okay.
But probably other than that is like taking, like, say, someone even mentions something as a joke out of character, not meaning it in a harmful way, or they say something in character to their character, and they just take it way too personally and start taking it out on that person, I guess.
So hold on,
Or
you're
in-
saying if...
or as in the other group as well, not just that one person, they take it out on the group because of what's happening.
So hold on, you talking about someone's response to, so say if they misunderstand someone else's intention, they take it as an insult, and then it's their behaviour. You're talking them as being the one that's toxic, not the one who's made the comment in the first place.
Not the one that's made the comment all in character or as a joke, trying to make it as a joke, but one that's taking it in the wrong way and just decides to just be a rude person and just either target the person or let's say a whole group decide to make a joke about someone's character, and they make it a joke way, and they just take out on the whole group as well.
Okay, so someone who sort of holds a
Or they
grudge but
mention
sort of
it all in
expands on it.
character. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
either someone mentions, like a group say something to one character in character as well, they're all in character and they say something to the character, and that person might also just take it personally
Okay.
and just take it out on the group.
All right. Okay. That's That's just quite an interesting way of doing it, because it's sort of, it's not like it's the person who instigated the problem in the first place, but it's someone who ends up becoming the problem because of what they've misinterpreted from someone else. It's not that they've misinterpreted it. It's just that they've just taken what someone else says and they've kind of used this as the excuse to then be toxic going forward.
Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Good example. Pete, what about yourself?
Something that has always bothered me in games is when the DM is very clearly trying to talk, but people keep talking over them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if toxic is the way to go, but it feels toxic. But it's one of those things that's like, maybe it depends entirely on the reasoning that someone is doing that. But that's something that always used to bother me.
So, and interrupting, yeah. So, see, I think this comes to the thing where the interpretation. So, I think maybe maybe not even so much interpretation. Maybe it's down to context. So, if you've got someone, so I'll tell you what. This is a perfect example of the experience I had yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Table I was sitting at consisted of the DM, who was roughly about my age. A player who was probably maybe 10 years older than myself, his 12-year-old son, and a girl who might have maybe been a year or two older than the boy. Now, the boy and the girl both did continuously keep talking over the Dungeon Master.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see that, again, with context, you could see that they're not doing it, I don't think they're doing it to be toxic. They're doing it because they're very excited, and they haven't quite understood that it's polite to let each other speak, and they just want to keep getting their bit across and not wait for someone else to say something. Now, again, I think that's more of an age sort of situation. If you were to take that same thing and then increase their age, you add another 10 years onto them, I would say that at that point, then I would say that would probably be quite toxic, because like if they, especially if they understand how a game works, or just how a conversation works as such.
I think this is the interesting thing though, is toxic player versus toxic action.
Because whenever I heard Brain went, well, I can relate to some of that. Oh god, because I know I can get overly excited at times.
But yeah,
and not even notice that I'm getting loud because I'm doing it and I'm not realizing it. That's something to do with me because I have ADHD. But that still, as long as they've noticed that it's not ongoing and they keep doing it on purpose, then yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good example. Like you can in Crafty's campaign, you can get very excited, and then you'll talk a lot, or the same with some other players, and sometimes you'll end up talking over someone else, or you'll talk over Crafty, and that could arguably be quite a toxic action. But I don't think that makes you a toxic player, because it's not done intentionally, and it's not done to actually have a negative effect on somebody. I think true toxicity is when someone does something on purpose to bother somebody else. But the moment you get that, you need to just get rid of them. Like they need to go. The moment someone is purposefully trying to upset someone, they need to. There's very few ways you can ever kind of like validate that or make that okay.
Yeah. Now, to go to the opposite of this, so we had people who are talking over. Where do you think it falls in line? Because I think you have there's toxic behaviour, and then there's just I think then if you look on maybe on the lower scale, you have maybe like inconsideration. So where would you stand if you have, say you've got a table of players and two or three of them just don't ever respond. Don't say anything. Like you don't know whether they're looking at phones or if they're in a conversation with someone else. I'll use an example of playing online. I'd say you even address it and just say, "Is everything all right?" And they're like, "Yeah." But then they still don't respond to anything. How would you see that without any more context? Would you consider that toxic behavior or toxic characteristics, or just, it's a nothing burger?
I think it very much depends. This is the problem with no extra context, because I've been in games where it's like someone just refuses to pay attention, and it's like you're clearly just chilling on your phone and you don't really want to be here, like, and then with those people, they've actually bailed a couple sessions later, and you're like, yeah, okay, obviously, okay, cool. But then I've also had people that do not talk like for most of the session, but you'll speak to them afterwards and they'll be like, no, I thought that you guys were all having really good like moments with each other, and I didn't want to step in and ruin that. And so it becomes there's two very big ends of the spectrum of, I'm being quiet because I can tell this moment isn't about me, and I'm giving you that space to have your moment, or I'm being quiet because I don't actually care and I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
I think I have more of the in-between examples of being quiet because you're shy and you don't know what to do and say.
See, and that's the other thing. It could just be a case of someone being quite shy. And so, again, I think that's why probably one of the biggest things I think we're going to pull away from this is when it comes to toxic behavior, context matters. And it matters so much because you can... Like, so the example I've given, I've specifically not given any context because it's left then to interpretation, and this is again for the viewers. It's sort of like, what do you think? Does this scream as someone who is being overtly toxic, or could it be something else? Now, as it so happens, one of these two people is actually very shy, and they're not very big on talking while everyone else is talking, because there's some people there that have got quite a bit of a personality and they're quite open in discussion and talking quite a lot, and so the other one's a bit more reserved and just sort of will only really speak if they're addressed directly. The other one was spending all his time on his phone, so he wasn't paying attention. So, and then you'd have to repeat yourself when then you did repeat it because they weren't listening. So there was two people there. One was definitely portraying, at the very least, inconsideration. And the other one, it was just a case of they were very shy. And so that just sort of brings me to the... brings me back around to what I was saying about like when it comes to context. Is there any particular examples, guys, that you can think of in... Now, I know, Nathan, you've only ever played with us, but is there any examples you guys can think of something that we haven't already mentioned, but that you would consider as quite toxic behaviour?
I've had it before. I think toxic is a very strong word, but I've had it before where there's stuff that when I've created a character, I've been like, cool. So this is my character, and it'll be like a secret, but like something about me. But it'll be something that, I've told the players, but the characters wouldn't have any real reason to know. But then the moment another player's character has met my character, they've gone, oh, this thing. And it's like, you wouldn't know that. That's... So basically, metagaming, but specifically about knowing something about someone's character, I think is quite...
Oh, okay. So something that you should have been, as it being
your
player, your character, you should have been the one to be revealing this information.
Yeah. So for example,
take
This
the
is, I'll just say
spotlight.
the example because that's chill. Basically, I was a Dampier in a campaign. So for those that don't know, that's basically a half vampire. And I was like, there's no, I've got bloodshot eyes and I'm a bit pale, but there's no reason. But I've spoken to my DM and the DM has said, cool, Dampier vampires, they're not super common. People wouldn't really know what they are. You don't really know what they are. I'm like, cool. So I don't know what I am. That's an interesting thing I can play with, the sort of learning experience, or the fact that I'll eventually, this will be have a nice reveal, things like that. But then it's, oh, you're a Dampier. Oh, cool. Okay. My growth, my reveal is now gone.
So it took the wind out of your sails a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not toxic, but it was a shame. I think it's very hard to, toxic is a very strong term, I find, about a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's why I was quite interested in making this as a subject to discuss, because with so many people's different perspectives, different points of views and opinions of what they consider toxic behavior, without context and with all these different differentiating, if I got that right word,
Differentiating.
Thank you. Without all these, without all these being put into effect, it can be very difficult. So when you see, it's like when you see if you ever see articles online and people refer to toxic fans, or just, again, they use the word toxic, I think it always needs to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Because you could probably find like the most extreme example and then use that to generalize everybody that you didn't agree with in saying something and saying, well, they're all being toxic. But again, just like some of the examples we talked about. So what you just said there happened with you. Now, obviously, if you're quite fond on being the one to reveal that information, then yes, of course, I can see that being, obviously, that is a sort of stealing your spotlight, as it were. Now, there may be the person who did it, if it had happened to them, maybe they wouldn't have cared, and so their thinking is, well, I wouldn't care, why would someone else care? So there's like a lack of empathy there, a lack of awareness. But it does,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Nathan,
hey,
did you have, now granted again, you've only ever played in my campaign, but no, I'll say that, no, you haven't. You've played in, you've been in like 3 of Rumple's one shots. I think you were in Jason's one shot, the Christmas one.
Yes.
Yeah, and
not still within the group.
yeah, and you've also been in Chad's one shot.
No,
No, was you not in that one?
No, I couldn't partake.
Oh, okay. No, never mind.
Was that the second Christmas one?
Yes.
Or was that the...
You're thinking of the second Christmas one. I'll think my brain thought of the other one. Yeah, the Christmas second Christmas one I did.
So you weren't in Jason's one, but you were in it. You were in
it
Chad's
wasn't.
one.
Cthulhu one. It was the other one.
Oh,
Sorry.
the Cthulhu.
My brain went to the Cthulhu one, not the Christmas one.
Yeah. So is there...
Again, those few examples are still within this group.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to branch from there.
Well,
because the limited experience
we're all adults here. So if at any point you think I've perhaps been showing some toxic behaviour, let me know now so I can kick you out of Roll20.
We'll have a toxic DM.
I will say, I don't think it's malicious in any way, shape, or form on anyone here. I don't think it's majorly toxic, because I know Peter does it quite a lot. And I think it's just a me thing. Just when I've done something with a stat, for some reason, some of you question it. I'm like, maybe I'm doing shit because it makes sense to me.
Is this a case of...
I wouldn't say it's majorly toxic, I just see it as weird.
No, but no, it's a good example. I mean, obviously you've taken from real experiences. Would this be, for instance, a rules lawyer moment? So you've done something that needs clarification on, or something that doesn't actually work with what you were actually trying to do?
No. I'm more about when I put my stats in, kind of thing. When I'm making the character and I've done certain
So
things.
character
with my stats.
creation. So
Yes.
again, all right. So put it into context here. So you were creating a character,
So that's
and you wanted it to
example
do. Sorry, I do apologize. Carry on.
But no, it's like, let's just say, for example, because like, don't want to kind of be mean and be like, it's this person, because
I'll just step in. Nathan, it's okay. I think I know exactly
okay,
what you're talking
I'm
about.
bullying you here.
It's okay. You can say it. I know exactly what
Peter
you're
kind
talking
of
about.
bullies me, but not in a mean way. Just questions it.
Why am I
I
getting all these messages from Pete of crying emojis right now?
Okay.
He's
Do
never
you want me-
mean about it. I will
if
say
it's-
Peter's
if
never
it's-
mean about it. He's just confused about what
Is
I
it, do you want me to? Is it the thing about the perception thing? Is
I
it stuff like that?
Perception, I think it's just when I've made with like certain stats, I think different characters, and then I don't know if I don't really see it as toxic. It's just the more you're just curious about what the fuck I'm doing. And then
Crafty, would it help if I explained some of this stuff for context? Because I think Nathan's a little worried to sort of out me.
Honestly, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, go ahead, please. Just
That
so
is
viewers can
definitely
understand what's going on, because I think this is also a good example.
I mean, I think there's been a few times where Nathan has created a character and has decided to implement a stat that would be less than stellar or less than I can't remember what the word
Optimal.
is. Like not the most effective thing to do. Or for example, recently with Nathan's new character in your campaign, they have rogue fighter, but they took expertise in perception. So I pointed out to the fact that while expertise in perception is usually a good thing, their maximum is going to be around +6, where mine is currently around +11. So it's not going to be a very commonly used trait for them when we have a choice of who gets to use it, or the fact they didn't take like stealth as a rogue. So I was out these things as less than like, I can't remember what the word is. It's in the top of my brain. Whereas not the best choice. I think is what I was saying.
Not the most optimal for that.
Optimal. That's the one. It's not the optimal choice. And I think that maybe when I say it, I must come across in a way of I'm telling Nathan that they're wrong, rather than, which I fully understand. Like, yeah, maybe that's some. I try to do it in a way that I think I want to point things out and try and help people, and then if you want to make a choice. But yeah, no, but I fully understand how from your position it might seem like I'm just coming across and being like, everything you do is wrong. Why can't you make the correct choice?
I think because I see it in the way of when you're saying it, stuff like that. My brain goes, oh, he's all about in the min-maxing way, where I'm just going from it of, okay, this character probably would be like that, so I don't put it in those stats to be that optimal for reasons of my brain working like that.
Well, I think
I just think stats that work with characters. For some weird reason, that's how my brain works.
Well, I think it's a really good example of what a situation could be seen as toxic behavior, because you've got someone who's enthusiastic about putting a character together, and you've got someone who's saying to him, you shouldn't do it this way because of XYZ reasons. Now, again, with context, Pete is obviously doing this with the sense of, because Pete's very much on the ball when it comes to creating characters. He understands very well how stats should be set up, and because he's also thinking of the broader picture with the rest of the party. So from his perspective, he's just trying to help. He's trying to make it so that it works better for you, because he's probably already imagining a situation where, I'll say, everybody roll for perception, but your character on average is going to get a worse score than Pete's character on average. So you having that perception doesn't really make a big benefit for the party, whereas your stealth would have been more beneficial. You see where I'm coming from on that bit. Now, obviously, if we were to take that example, pull it out of this group, put it, say, in a new group, you've got someone, again, who's enthusiastic about playing it. They're quite happy about how they want to do things, and someone else comes along, says to him, oh, you shouldn't do this, don't put your stats in perception, go put them in stealth. And that other player, unless they're having like a proper conversation, or they don't really know each other, that could definitely be seen as toxic behavior, because you've got someone who's sort of enforcing what they think you should be doing with your character rather than the person who should be in full control of what they're doing with their character.
Way, I guess.
Yeah. No, again, I think it's a really good example.
Be cruel and be like, haha, I'm gonna out Peter because my kindness wouldn't let me do it.
We're all adults here, bud. No, if this is it, if when I do something like that, because I've had it with Sam as well, where Sam's like, I'm gonna put stats into this, and then 3 sessions later, Sam's like, oh, my character doesn't function. Oh, now I feel bad in every session because it does. So in my perspective is I'm helping you, but however, if it feels like I'm pushing you, that is to a bad thing. That is a trait that I need to rein in, because it is forcing my opinions onto your character is a toxic behavior, and that is something that I need to keep in check and make sure that you're okay with me wanting to give that advice or give something like that.
I'm always okay with your opinion because you never force it upon me. You don't go, do this. You just are like, here's my opinion, and I can choose to ignore it or take it.
Yeah, that's
okay. Then yeah, if I went further, it would become a toxic behavior, which is, I think, what you're saying here.
I think it's just because we're so close, we all know.
Well, that's just it. We've all been
too personally with P.
We've all been D&D-ing for over a year now. So we've all kind of know what each other's like quirks and stuff are, what they're going to probably do in a certain situation and stuff like that. And again, we've all been in the same campaign. We're all just sort of looking at like the broader picture a lot of the time.
Because any other examples I can give is mostly just things being pointed out to me that's happened to me, and me just being completely oblivious to what happened, how it happened, and why it happened, and just me being dumb as fuck because I didn't put it in my brain. Oh yeah, this happened. Poink.
I honestly thought you were going to say this is all my experiences are going to be a Pete.
All my experience is just Pete being an asshole.
Pete decided to question this.
His example number 1 through 7. I'll have to get my folder for the other ones.
He's getting confused with my experimental shit. That's fine.
I
Everyone's getting confused about that shit.
I mentioned to my first Adventure League team that I played that I said that we have a designated rules lawyer in our group, and the DM just gave me this look as if to say like, I feel so bad for you right now, and I was like, what's the problem? I was like, there's nothing wrong with having a rule. I was like, I'm actually quite pleased that we've got a rules lawyer. I think the way he must have seen it, and again, this is sort of people's perception of it, is that his way of looking at it. If you're to the point where you need to keep having a rules lawyer, like, are you really that good at DM? Sort of thing.
I would actually disagree with that, Crafty. I think within the D&D sort of community, from everyone I've spoken to as well in other groups, a rules lawyer is normally given quite a negative connotation.
Yeah.
A rules lawyer is someone who is constantly like, actually, that's not how that works. This is how it works. Rules is written. What do you mean you're trying to change that creature actually has this much health points? What are you doing? That kind of stuff. Like a lot of like I just did a lot of that, but with trying to tell you how to run your game.
So
by sort of using the rules and not allowing any sort of flexibility from that.
By literally just going by what's in the book.
Whereas, as your rules lawyer / advisor, what I tend to do is message you quietly, or when we have a moment, be like, by the way, that's not normally how that would work. Unless it's... And I try to be quite gentle about it, and if you turn around and you no, that's how it's working in my campaign, I usually go, cool, fair enough, that's your world, your campaign, that's fine. But the classic rules lawyer is someone who is just like, no, this is how the rules are written, this is how it must be played, how dare you deviate from that? And it's got quite a negative connotation within the D&D community.
I'll touch upon that again in just a second. Saran, did you have something to say there?
Yeah, I was going to say, a rules lawyer is usually very lightly metagaming. That's what's frowned upon. The rules lawyer usually knows what's going on before he's supposed to know what's going on. And if he thinks he knows what's going on, so he doesn't know what the DM thinks, He knows what the rules think, what the rules say. So he's going to think something is going to happen, something should happen, but it doesn't. So he's going to put his foot in the door and start going at it.
So would you guys consider this then? Would you consider the traditional, well, I'll call him the traditional rules lawyer, would you consider that as toxic behaviour?
I think the traditional rules lawyer, yes. Because it is normally done in order to gain an advantage. And it's normally done to almost prove superiority. I think sometimes it can be an issue because it depends why they're like that. It's one of those things that needs to be. It's another thing that, if addressed in session 0, should be in that DM needs to be like, this isn't going to be a rules as written game, so every now and then I might deviate. If the person then comes in and is like, no, it must be rules as written and everything you do is wrong, that is a toxic behaviour.
So when I wrote out my checklist for this new group, I did very lightly touch upon the subject of contesting the DM on a rule. And I stated that we will allow up to 2 minutes to contest a rule if someone feels that it's not how it should be. And at the end of those 2 minutes, the DM will make a decision and the game will resume. If then the player wishes to contest it any further, they'll have to wait until the end of the session, in which case then they can bring it up. The main purpose of that was just so that the game wouldn't be put on pause for too long. And I might even think 2 minutes might have been too liberal, as it were, with the time on it. But see, it's so strange because my only real example of a rules lawyer is Pete, and I have personally found it is it's the best thing. I think it's the bloody best thing I've ever had in a D&D.
You're welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
And he's our local.
I am advocating that every DM should have a rules advisor, and just one designated player in the session in the party that can speak for everybody to be the only one, if ever, to contest a rule, and it's to be done quietly between them and the DM, so there's not to stop the game and not to drag any problems out. They can make notes of it. If they want to bring it up very quickly, and the DM can just be like, no, you're right, okay, that's fine, we'll do that. Or if they say, we'll talk about it later, it's going to be this way for now. And then they can discuss it later on. I'm advocating, you've heard it here first, folks, Crafty GG is advocating that all DMs should have a designated rules advisor. And I've just lost 50 subs.
Listen. Get a rules advisor. That's like Peter.
I think the wording is kind of hit the nail on the head, right? Like, it's not a rules lawyer. You want a rules advisor. You want somebody who whispers in your ear quietly and is like, by the way, like, that's not quite how that works. But what you don't want is someone who slams down the player's handbook and is like, actually, you'll find on page 72, paragraph 3, subsection A, that, and you are incorrect, and you're a disgrace. Like, it's a very different, I think, mentality about it, and I think that's what's very important. Rules lawyer screams sort of aggressiveness to me. Whereas, like you say, I prefer to try and be a bit of a rules advisor, where I'm like, actually, by the way, if you would like to do it this way, that's cool too.
So, unless anyone's got any other examples, I'm going to go to this list that I found online for 10 toxic behaviours that derail a Dungeons and Dragons game. And I just want to get your guys' perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 10. Oh, sorry, Nathan, what was that?
Oh, just nothing else.
Cool. So, number 10. Antagonize the DM. Now, they have a short description on this. Look at them, so smug behind their big fancy DM screen, typing away on their little laptop, statting out goblins or orcs or God knows what to kill your precious character. Those dungeon masters have had it too good for too long. It's time to take those pretentious bastards down a peg or two. I think that's just a bit of a colourful text. I don't think I'm going to read all the rest of that. But antagonising the DM, would you guys agree? That's a toxic behavioural trait?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They can be because you keep just annoying him.
Could you think of a situation where if the right context was played out, that antagonizing the DM wouldn't be considered toxic?
That's a hard.
Yes,
Oh, go on.
but it would have to be very specific.
Mm.
Because I think it is. You could only consider it not toxic if it's like you're all very close friends and it's antagonizing in the same way as taking the mick. Like if you so if you were like, oh, I've been doing this thing and I'm so excited for you to go do this, and I was like, go this other way, that could be funny, and I'm doing it in like a jokey manner. That could be considered toxic, but you could also consider that funny depending on how it's done and in what way.
Yeah.
Is how I would say it. I think most of the time it's toxic, but there could definitely be, with a close enough group of friends, it could just be a joke.
Yeah, I would agree on that one. I think it'd have to be very specific sort of situations for it to not be a sort of toxic trait. Okay. Number 9 was hog the spotlight. So I think we've already sort of touched upon this. It's where, you know, again, it's that main character syndrome. But it doesn't necessarily even have to be that. It can just be someone who continually has to be the one that talks all the time. Has to bring all the attention to themselves, so on and so forth. You get the idea with hog the spotlight. I think unless the player, like, say, for instance, it was a character like a bard or something, or let's say actually no, let's say the DM is purposely giving people certain sessions where it is all about them. That would be a non-toxic thing because it's sort of been arranged, right? Could you think of a situation where, again, hogging the spotlight is not a toxic sort of behavior?
It's really difficult to describe this, but if there is no one else in the party trying to do anything at all, and there's only one person trying to work on something, a way forward, as you would say, then there's not much choice for that one person to take the spotlight. There's no one else to compete for it, so he's the only one doing anything.
Yeah.
There's only one person.
I have actually been in that situation.
Yeah.
In a campaign, you know, I mentioned earlier how there was. I've been in a campaign where people clearly didn't care and clearly weren't paying attention and were clearly on their phone, just like behind the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a campaign where it was basically me and then a bunch of people who had never played before, had no idea what they were doing, or weren't paying attention, and it became a long series of me doing a lot of the talking, and as much as I could, I would be like, "Oh, random player, what do you think about this?" And then they'd be like, "That's cool," and that would be it, and that would be the only response. Like, so at a certain point, it's like, I want this to progress. We need to get going. Nobody else is asking to do anything, or no. Guess I'm gonna have to step up again. And it became like every single plot thread I had to find and I had to begin because nobody else would. And because of that, arguably, to some people, it would seem, from the outside, it would seem that maybe I was trying to hug the spotlight.
But you were more. It was more like the spotlight was more forced on you in this one because no one else.
It was being shone in my face.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think this entire session is just going to be a lot of me outing myself as a potentially toxic player.
Oh, I tell you, you say that. This next one definitely has applied to me.
Uh-oh.
It has 100% applied to me. Stopped caring, still playing.
Yeah.
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 That one, I'm putting my hands up, folks. I played a campaign. I'm not naming names. They're not in this group. They're not in our main group. But they tried. I to an extent. They were trying, but the game was, yeah. I mean, we even tried to talk to them. We had this whole thing, because we didn't want to just like. I was looking at the option of just everyone dipping, but it was just like, no, let's talk to them. Let's talk to the DM. Let's give them a chance to hear what we got to say. Give them a chance to maybe make some changes or just at least hear us out. And they didn't. And yeah, I definitely then fall into number 8. I just did not care anymore. I played because I enjoyed hanging out with everyone. But other than that, I really couldn't. I was deliberately trying to find a way to get my character killed. I am the toxic player in this environment, in this situation. No context needed. I'm just putting my damn hands up on that one.
I think
And the comments go wild.
If it's the one,
I didn't know you had 0 subscribers. What the hell?
if it's
I
the one,
unsubscribe.
Go on, sir.
if it's the one I think it was, then I bailed ship really fast. I remember that one. I think you guys also remember me disappearing.
Yep.
Now, again, is there a situation where you could stop caring and still play, and that's not toxic? Because I don't know if I can think of one for that.
I don't. This is what we just. I don't think you were being toxic. I think it was. I think if you were being toxic in the fact that you made it the DM's problem that you stopped caring, then it would be an issue. But I don't think you did. I think you were clearly not heavily invested, but you were still playing, you were still functioning, you weren't getting in anybody's way or causing any issues. So I would argue that you weren't actually being that toxic.
Yeah, because I see it as a situation of you weren't, even though you didn't enjoy the campaign itself or what was happening, you were just playing to just be with your friends at that point.
Yeah.
And have a good time, even if it was not the best.
All right, guys, you get a point of inspiration each. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't used my last one. I've got a point of inspiration in our campaign I've had for like 8 sessions.
Oh, you still have it.
Still have it.
Oh, number 7.
Oh, God.
Argue the rules. Well, I think we have already covered examples of where this is non-toxic because we have our prime walking, talking example of our rules advisor.
I would argue and say that actually the key word in that statement is the fact that it's arguing the rules.
Aye, true.
I think contesting the rules isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as contesting is just sorry, but, or would it? I think it might actually be. That's very different to you are wrong and then arguing that for 15 minutes.
Yes. Okay, that's fair. That's that's a good comment. Then let's see. Okay, so number 6, go rogue and not in a good way. Now, I think what they're getting at here is maybe a bit murder hobo-y.
I think by go rogue, they mean the classic rogue of I'm going to go solo, I'm going to steal from the party consistently, and I'm just going to cause problems for everybody.
Where have I heard of this before?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, actually, there was a player in our group yesterday, the youngest one, who every NPC that we encountered, he would say, like, I'm going to try to steal from his pockets. And it's just sort of, I'm sitting there like, oh, this poor kid, you have no idea what's coming for you. Is that a rock falling from the sky?
There's always a rock falling from the sky.
Well, I will say, at least he's trying.
No. It was more funny than anything.
He's learning the ropes.
So going rogue, I mean...
Well, maybe to be fair, that I think of it as a class. Going rogue is also just a phrase of going off on your own and being crazy.
I can see that sort of can be used as can be considered non-toxic if it was a similar like with the spotlight situation. If the players weren't really doing anything, and this one person's like, you know what, I can see a way that we can do this, and like their best option is to go rogue, then yeah, fair play. Right, number 5, kill everything. So there's the murder.
That's murder hobo.
Oh, there he is. He's coming up somewhere. We didn't know where. He should once now, but he's not. He's number 4.
I tell you what, the only reason I could see this being non-toxic is if you had a party of like orcs and goblins and stuff, because I mean they're evil. Yeah. Of course they're going to kill everything. So
the only way I can see that in a good way
stretching
is having a legit campaign about being a murder hobo.
That's a lot of prejudice in that sentence there, Crafty.
Oh no!
There's literally only one direction that murder hobo is okay. Is a campaign of about being one.
So check my human privilege.
I mean, there's the transformations that we're having in the Rumpel's campaign that we have options for. One of the transformations is like become a lich, and as a lich, you need to like drain souls. And you need to kill a certain amount of people and drain their souls every day eventually, or you just die.
Oh.
That's literally, you have no choice but to become a
murderer. But I'm not saying that is good. I would warn anyone who is like, this is the choice I want to make.
Don't.
But yes, it's weird how, that is a class that would almost define it being needed. Class a monster, but I'm also like, maybe don't do that if that would anyway have a negative impact on the party.
We are going to find context and the exceptions to every one of these toxic behaviors.
But I mean, maybe that's, to be fair, maybe that's the point in this conversation, right? Like, you can do a toxic thing without it necessarily making you a toxic player or being toxic in the situation.
Yeah.
As long as you improve upon yourself, then you're fine.
I mean, there's also the toxic behavior in character and out of character. That's something.
Yeah.
That is true. Right, number 4. Cancel last minute chronic lateness.
But I hate it.
There's only one excuse for being late and cancelling late. It's family issues.
Yes.
Other than that,
yes.
If something happens,
that is a very good example, but it is not the only reason. If I break both my legs walking home, that is not a family reason. But if
what if it was your brother?
Cannot be there.
What if it was your brother who broke both your legs? That would be a family.
Oh, then that is a family issue, but it's not the broken legs. It's the insane brother. That's the problem. Then
I agree that it's definitely probably the most excusable one is a family
that should have been higher up on that list of
medical emergency. Obviously, any kind of an emergency obviously is absolutely fine.
Genuine emergency.
Yeah. I think what this is more referring to is people who they don't care, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have no respect for the work that goes into preparing sessions, the time that a DM's got to put aside to get all this done. The rest of the party is making time to do this, you know, and it's not like you're only doing this for 10 minutes. You could be sitting there, you know, between 2 to 6 hours, you know, and especially if it's like big moments in like the campaign, or it was quite crucial that to have everyone there. A constant running late or cancelling all the time without legitimate reasons, you know. Again, like I've been saying with groups, and I say it with you guys as well. You know, people gotta cancel, and you gotta run late and everything. It happens. It's when you say nothing and then do it. That for me. That's where the problem starts. Like, I'd say with this new group thing, no one needs to go into details. I don't need to know their personal history. I don't need to know their backstories and all the rest of it. But if they were just to say, "Oh, I'm not coming," and not even given the reason why, the next time that they do that, I might turn around and go, "Right, well, you're done." If then they turn around and go, "Oh, but I had family issues and stuff like that." Well, if you just said like, "Oh, I've got a family situation," It's fine. It's not like you've given out any personal info. I don't need to know about your dad's beating the shit out of you. So it's fine. Like, you carry on.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. Did I go a bit dark there?
Crafty, are you okay?
Way out of
Just a bit of dark humor.
Crafty bud, is everything okay at home?
Not a single one of us saw that coming. It just came in.
You could have said anything. You could have said, like, I didn't need to know your dad was super ill or something like that. But that's the choice you went with.
I needed a shock moment for the trailer.
Oh damn! Is that it? Is the trailer just going to be us cackling and laughing at you? Jesus! Bloody hell!
This video.
Oh dear. But anyway, obviously, hyper exaggerated moment there. But my point is that as long as players just give the DMs a heads up and say, look, by the way, or even if they can't, it's just like, again, they cancel, whatever. But at least then the next time that they have an opportunity to say something, say, just drop a message, look, sorry, I couldn't make it. I had a situation come up. Can't go into details or won't go into details, but I'll be the next one. Whatever. It's when it continuously happens without reason, without any contents. You're dangling someone on the edge here, and it's just like there's no point in doing that. If you've really got no interest in it, then just drop out. There's no point in keep like say, oh, I might join it, or I won't join it, or I might join it, I can't be bothered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number 3, cheat. Now this one's interesting. So I'm thinking what they mean is if, because this, you can't cheat. I don't think you can really cheat if you're playing someone's homebrew, because you wouldn't have a clue what they're doing. But if someone was doing, like, say for instance, I'm running Tyranny of Dragons, or you got Curse of Strahd, or the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, for instance, any one of those. If you were then to get hold of that module and you start reading it ahead, you know what the answers are going to be to any like puzzles or anything coming up.
I think there's that, but I think it's also like faking roles.
Yeah.
Or lying about your roles is what I would consider like proper cheating in D&D.
But when can you do that?
Or lying about what you did.
It's a lot harder to do online when it's all done for you. But if you're
this more
you can roll it and hide it up or something like that.
You cut out just for a moment there, but I'm assuming you were talking about in real life.
Yeah, it's hard. It's harder to do online. It's a lot easier to do in person because it's a lot easier to be like to cover up your role or to change your role. Or I rolled quick. I pick it up. I got a natural 20. I'm not going to let you see. I've already picked up the dice. What a shame! But I got a natural 20.
Yeah, I don't.
If they're constantly doing it, you are able to catch it again, and this time in front of me.
Or it's the people that. I don't know if it's cheating as much, but the people that will won't wait for the DM to ask them to roll, but will just roll and just roll. Like the DM's like, and they'll roll, and then they'll roll a bit later, and then they'll roll, and they'll be like, oh, I got a natural 20. I'm trying to.
I think
we entered a room. Roll. I got a natural 20 on the perception check that I just did, but not mentioning it until they do well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. So that's something that's going to be quite interesting to watch as I do these adventure leagues and stuff, and just see if I ever pick up on it. Like, at the moment, from what I've seen from these players, everyone just seems genuine. And normally, I think again it applies once you're over a certain age. I could be wrong. I could be ageist right now, and it could be people of any age can do this, or probably do this. But and again, maybe it's because of my age, I just sort of see that sort of trait and behaviour would apply to someone who's maybe not too mentally mature, as in like age-wise. So someone who's more of a teenager sort of thing.
On the most part, yes, but I think there is a lot of... The more seriously you take the game, I think the more inclined you are to cheat to a certain point. Because if you're like, I've been using this character for 3 years, I really don't want them to die, you are more likely to cheat than if you're like, I don't care, session 3, who gives a damn? And that could change depending, no matter what your age is.
Yeah, well, it's a fair shout. It's a fair shout. Just waiting now for the angry comments. It's like, I'm 13. I've never cheated in my life. Fuck you, Crafty.
Classic 13-year-old.
I will say, like, I don't think this has ever happened. I think I'm just throwing it. Well, maybe you have someone just rolling for the fun of rolling. They just like rolling a dice just for no reason.
That's fine. I'm not. That wasn't what I mean. It's the people.
I know. I'm just saying.
Roll.
Maybe they're just rolling a dice for the fun of it, and they're just like, oh,
that's okay. Then that's not it, right? Like that's not what I'm talking. But it's if someone who will roll and will only mention it when they get the result that they want.
Or what about the classic, like, oh, I didn't mean to roll for that stat. I meant to roll for this stat. I'll just roll again.
That's okay. That's up to the DM because I've like online. Obviously, you'll roll and it'll be pre-assigned for you. So, like, if you accidentally click strength check instead of strength saving throw, you'll get, and you have proficiency in saving throws, you'll get a different result. I personally would take the number that was rolled and just add the proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's the number you rolled, because it becomes the question of, would the player want to roll again if they had rolled well?
So let's say put in a real life situation of real life dice. Just switch this and be like, oh, I rolled for the wrong stat. That doesn't matter. You've rolled. You just change which one you're using. You just keep the same number.
In person, you can't have that problem. I think it's online is the only time that would ever come up.
In online, it's a bit more of an issue, but probably not that much.
But then in person, you would almost do that. Oops, that wasn't an on-purpose roll.
Yeah.
Like there will be people that do that. Like, oh, I wasn't trying to roll then, so I'll pick it up and roll.
Yes, exactly.
I think sometimes you can see the fumble of like.
Yeah, but then it's the question of.
That's a gentleman dropped dice.
Then it's the question of, if you had fumbled and it had rolled on a 20, would you have tried to keep it?
True.
I think this is
not Nathan advocating for fudging rolls on purpose. Please do not fudge your rolls on accident. Please, thank you. Do not do it on purpose.
I think that's the question, and I think that's something that a DM should also have a think about and discuss with people. Is, there's a very clear. Usually you can tell, like, that was a fumble and that wasn't. But a DM, if you're going to re-roll a fumble, you need to re-roll all fumbles.
Yeah.
Is how I would do it. You can't pick and choose what you re-roll and what you don't.
Yeah, I know. Because I've seen it a few times while watching YouTube of just Adam dropping his dice and then getting away. He's like, I didn't do it. And then him still roll well, but still.
Right. And number 2. Not playing by the sacred improv rule, yes and.
What?
This one I wasn't expecting. So, do you know about the improv rule?
No.
I have a performing arts degree, so yes.
Kind of, but not fully.
Could you explain, please, to the others, to the audience, and myself?
It's basically in the name. It's you don't say no. If like, so for example, if a player says, I'm going to do this, you don't go, no you don't, that didn't happen. You go, okay, however, okay, yes, and I do this, is basically the concept of, you don't go, no, that didn't happen. You have to go, okay, yeah, and. Basically, it's just not denying what somebody has tried to do by just saying it doesn't happen.
Okay.
I think the only way that might not happen is maybe during like a thing where you're not to roll, maybe, but I don't know.
That it doesn't mean the DM didn't want you to roll. That's not. It means in the like acting, in the role playing sense.
Yeah. I get that then.
Legit, don't straight up just tell someone something they tried to do didn't happen.
And...
Only way to stray off of that is if it's gone into a way it shouldn't have gone and it's bad. So
yes,
that's the only way it should be drawn off of.
That I think this yes
Unwanted
this is specifically in the role playing manner. I don't the yes and doesn't mean they've done something that they shouldn't be doing. It means they've tried to do something and you've just said no.
So we could say, for instance,
I'm just
say
saying.
say we're doing my campaign. Nathan, you said my character is going to run up the mast and jump off and onto the enemy and stab him in the neck. If instead of me saying no, your character wouldn't be able to do that. Instead, I could say yes. And while you're attempting that, there's a strong gust of wind that blows you off as you take one step on the mast and you fall flat on your ass. So I've not said no, you can't do that. I've yes, but would that be an example? Would that work?
Roll the dice.
Honestly, I think less for the DM. I think more amongst players. Because the DM is one of the few people who would be able to say that can't work. But to be fair, I think how you described it would be a good way of doing that. In that, like, you go, okay, yes, you try. Yeah, to be fair, actually, yeah, great example. Now I think about it, just go yes. However, yes, and this happens when you try to, rather than no, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay.
Or base it off a dice roll if you wanted to.
True.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you don't say no, you can't manage that. You go, you try to manage that, and this happens instead.
There is something quite interesting I learned about a rule. I don't know if it's such a rule, but it was advice about failing upwards with dice rolls. So if you, as like a DM, had something you wanted your players needed to get past a certain point, but they had to pass like a skill check or something for it. What would happen if they didn't pass those skill checks? You've got to turn them away from that point. And the DM's advice was, well, instead of that, why don't they, if they don't make the needed skill check, they still succeed, but something happens to them in the process. So it's like they succeed, but they fail, but they succeed. Like if that probably doesn't help how I've just said that.
No, I think I get what you mean.
It's succeeding in a roundabout way.
Yes, it's not the
failing,
best way
but
of succeeding.
stupidly failing.
They failed successfully.
Exactly.
They failed successfully.
I think if you, I mean that's probably the only way you should ever do like content locked skill check locked content, right? You shouldn't. If it becomes a very risky game if you go, cool, you need this to, like, if you're like, you enter a dungeon, roll an investigation check, and you're like, cool, they need to get a 15 to notice there is a door to leave this room. They rolled a 10. They don't find the door. They're locked in there forever. Like, it becomes it's a very different problem, right? But or it's like, I want them to find this really important story, like, I've written 17 pages of lore dump, which they're going to find with a DC 5 investigation check. Oh, they rolled a 1. Guess they don't get it. It's a risky game to play. But like you said, maybe a way of like, maybe you're going to succeed anyway, but maybe you get a bonus if you do slightly better.
Yeah.
Like you'll find it on a 5, except it will take 2 hours.
Oh
God. If you find it on you roll a 15, you find it, you also find like a minor magic item or something like that, rather than
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Just something that something just came to mind. I really wanted to share with that. But let's go on. So number 1, learn nothing. So what they put here is a character which is still doing the same dumb shit they did at level 10 that they did at level 1.
Yep.
So I think this can apply to more than just your character. This could be the player as well. Like, and it kind of can go through with anything that we've sort of discussed with, again, in regards to contents and such. You know, someone who's doing things that could be considered toxic behaviour. The player itself is not toxic, but, you know, people have spoken to them, whether it's the DM or the other players, and so many sessions in, they're still doing the same thing in and out and just not learning from it. Kind of touched upon what Nathan was saying. As long as you can learn from these things, people can get over that sort of stuff, you know. But
that's why you're also actively trying as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to learn.
There's one thing that I'm genuinely shocked isn't on this list.
Hmm.
It's what my character would do.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
I'm surprised that's not on there.
That wasn't on there at all.
That's what-
If you find yourself saying it's what your character would do multiple times, you are doing something wrong and you have a toxic character and are quite possibly a toxic player. That is one of the few things I will you can be like, that's what my character would do, but you chose to make that character. You chose to not let your character have any sort of personal growth. That is 100% on you.
Aye.
It is a terror. If people are saying please don't do that, that's a terror. It's what my character would do. Okay, why is your character burning down an orphanage? Why? What is your character? What is your character? Oh well, they had this thing as a kid. Why did you make that character? How in any way would that fit with the party or work? If you find yourself saying that,
extremist versions of that, very extremist versions of that. That's what my character would do. That's just an extremist version of it. I see minor versions of where it's just like, oh, my character would do this, but not in that kind of extreme.
Okay, that's no. What I mean is,
I know what you mean.
There's a difference between I think my character would and that's what my character would do. They're very because the phrase "that's what my character would do" is usually used in response to, "Oh my god, why did you do that?" That is a terrible why. That makes no. That's what my character would do. It's that turn of phrase is commonly known to be this is. You will find hundreds of memes about it.
Oh no,
hundreds of them.
I know what you're about. I'm just saying there's the minor
terrifying
version of it,
things.
Well,
there's the minor version where it's not that looked over, and then the major one where you're like, yeah.
I was to say that was the list that I found. I found a smaller list which was ways of dealing with toxic behaviour. I'm just going to go for this. We're not going to go through each one because we've already doing this for an hour and a half now. So ways of dealing with toxic behaviour, and we'll just get sort of a general response from everyone after I've gone through the list. Set boundaries, even if it creates guilt. When dealing with toxic behaviour, knowing where to draw the line is critical. Number 2, avoid getting drawn into the drama. Number 3, talk with them about it. Number 4, resist trying to fix things. Number 5, limit your time around them. And number 6, above all, ditch the blame. So I just want to get a quick general sort of idea from people what they think about that. And I'm just going to point out now, I don't remember where I got this list from.
First one I will agree. The first one you said, I will kind of
set the boundaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
that's the first step, right?
Yeah, I think we've sort of touched upon that as well, haven't we? It's just having that as the if you
set.
Yeah, exactly. If you set the ground rule, I think Pete, where did you describe it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Setting the baseline or something like that. I guess this is the sort of thing that you should really
set the standard, maybe. I don't know.
Standard,
a lot of
that was it. Setting the standard. Avoid getting drawn into the drama. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're the DM, you want to just get to the core of the situation. You want to avoid all the he said, she said sort of rubbish. Talk with them about it. Yeah, that's a pretty solid thing. If someone's is doing something that is considered toxic behaviour, get that context. Get their contents. Their context. Resist trying to fix things. I guess that my thinking is that maybe they're talking about if someone's got personal drama. So obviously you're not Dr. Phil. You're not going to be able to. So don't let her.
It might also be it might also be for the players, that specific one. If there's a problem going on, let the DM sort of handle it.
Yeah.
Don't get involved and cause issues between players when it's the DM's job to kind of step up.
The only way to not actively fix it, but just let the DM know if he hasn't picked on it yet, or they haven't picked on it yet.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a way, but that's just letting the DM know. Well, fine. By the way, you're not paying attention to this.
Limit your
this
time.
is happening in front of you.
Yeah. Limit your time around them. I think this is probably just sort of implying to just sort of a bit like avoid getting drawn into the drama. It's maybe that sort of coincides with that. And above all, ditch the blame. So I think that's probably quite an important one, is not to be going around pointing the fingers, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was. I can't even remember where I found this list, but I think I was looking up just sort of like how could you deal with sort of toxic behaviour. I thought it'd just be an interesting one to sort of go off. But I would say, I think to sum all this up, toxic behaviour is what you make of it, really. Without it, you gotta look at all perspectives. You've got to look at the contents. Understand that the people that are involved to truly whether to define what was actually what was actually is or was considered to be toxic behaviour, and then obviously if you're the DM, do what you can accordingly to try to deal with the situation. What would you guys say? Closing thoughts on that, on toxic behaviour?
Pretty much the same, really. I'd agree. Context changes everything. And also, toxic behavior does not necessarily mean they're a toxic player.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree on that one. Nathan Cerrone, any closing thoughts?
Nothing to add there, huh?
Not that much. It just depends on situation to situation, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, 100%. And with that, we end our discussion on toxic behaviour. And before we finish up, we're going to go into our quiz of D&D. This is Contesting Dragons. No, it isn't. This is Mastering the Dungeon.
Contesting Dragons? What's that?
Oh, the dragon. We thought we were fighting dragons. Crafty, what have you done to us?
No, it's all good.
We are the dragon.
That's why it's been so long since the last roll for discussion. Crafty's been secretly creating and breeding dragons for us to fight.
He's been hatching eggs secretly.
Okay.
I was wondering why we were having this session in the dungeon this time.
Yeah. What is that boss music? What the hell is that?
I still could smell eggs underneath an incubator.
Smell eggs.
Right. So people don't know how this works. I have a series of questions. I have an app called buzzin.live. The players will be able to buzz in as I say the questions out loud. The first one to buzz in is going to be the one who will be allowed to go first. I have to take their first answer. If they get it wrong, or they've buzzed in halfway through the question and not been able to respond, they will not get the point. They cannot then answer the question and must let the others do their bit. At which point, if they've interrupted me halfway through the question, I will read it out one more time for the other two players, or the remaining players. Does everybody understand?
Yes.
All right, Here we go. Question number 1. What is another name for dark elves? Go for Pete.
Drow.
Boom! That is correct. The Drow have traditionally been portrayed as generally evil and connected to the evil goddess Lolith.
Lilith?
Words we cannot say.
Yes.
There's a few.
Words we cannot pronounce.
Lolth. Lolth, my favourite god.
Right. Question number 2. What does TACO stand for? THACO. Well, THAC. Go for Nathan.
My brain stopped as I thought it was total part kill, but never mind.
Okay. Just spell it out again. THAC0. TACO. What?
I have no idea.
Well, Cerrone and Pete, you're still in this, so if either one of you want to take a stab, I am going to... Okay, go for Cerrone.
It's... Okay. It's something to do with AC, but I don't know what. AC0, what could that mean?
Giving you 10 seconds.
Oh, God. What are the letters again?
THAC0.
Oh, nothing.
That's the time. Go to Pete.
Is it like physical descriptors, like type, height, age, colour, something?
I'm afraid that's incorrect. So, what does THAC0, TACO, stand for? To hit armor class 0. TACO was the number you needed to roll on a d20 to hit an enemy with an armor class on 0 in some editions of D&D. It wasn't the most intuitive system ever.
No clue.
Oh,
The
it was
only
old,
thing-
old
Yeah.
D&D.
The
only
old
thing-
D&D. The old D&D answer, which
So,
oh,
so you said it. I was like, okay, there's AC 0, so it's maybe armor class since it's D&D, and the first two letters, no idea.
closest was Cyril, I think.
Yeah. To be fair, Cerrone was real close to that.
He was
I
the
would not
closest.
have gotten the second letter.
He was the closest. And on to question number 3. What is the name of the massive dungeon complex that exists beneath the city Waterdeep?
Does anyone know this lore?
I don't look at D&D.
I'll take the closest name to it. Pete?
Oh,
I don't actually. I'm just going to say Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Unfortunately, that is not correct.
Cool. I've got no idea. Crafty's going.
can you
"Ow."
repeat the,
Oh.
can you repeat the question?
I will repeat the question. What is the name of the massive dungeon complex that exists beneath the city of Waterdeep? Go on, Saram.
The catacombs?
I'm afraid not.
Okay, but I have no clue, so.
And Nathan, I take it you don't want to have a stab at this one? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Pete,
I have no idea.
That's
My
fine.
brain went-
that's fine, buddy. Pete, what was you saying earlier? The mad what?
Mad Mage.
The Mad Mage. Do you remember what the Mad Mage's name was?
No.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. Listen, you'd asked me this question. I wouldn't be able to tell you. So the name of the massive dungeon complex that exists beneath the city of Waterdeep is known as Undermountain. It's a
What the-
legendary dungeon partly created by the mad wizard Hallister.
Cool. No idea. Never heard of
Yeah,
either of
so-
those things.
No idea.
Some of us don't know the law because we don't read up on it.
It's
I'm
the
going to win
catacombs.
purely on drow. That's what I'm going to win.
None of us know the
That
fucking.
one answer has won me this entire competition.
Question
I'm biased.
Question number 4. What was unique about the AD&D second edition Monstrous Compendium? What was
We're not that
unique
old.
about the AD&D second edition Monstrous Compendium?
Second edition? Oh god.
What is AD&D?
Well,
What is this?
I'm
Crafty,
here
what
for
are you
5e.
doing,
I'm
George?
new to 5e. You expect
Okay,
me
do you
to
know
know
what's
2e?
funny? There's going to be someone listening to this going, "You idiots! Don't you know it's?"
If someone says that, I'm going to comment down below. I'm new. I'm
Please
only
comment.
5e.
Anybody who knows any of the answers to this, let us know if you knew the
We
answer
don't
before Crafty
know.
mentioned it. I want to know.
We are 5e.
Not clear.
I'm
None
gonna-
of us know
I'm
2e.
gonna take a guess here that you guys don't know the answer. In which case,
No.
the books were free ring binders that allowed players to add additional monster pages as they were released.
Yeah, that's cool. But also, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, we
Question-
would know that.
Number 5. I swear some of these will be slightly easier.
Okay,
Question
really?
number 5.
Were you expecting more experienced?
The 5 main classes, not counting subclasses, in first edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, that's where AD&D stands for, were Cleric, Fighter, Magic User, Thief, and... Go for Cerrone.
Barbarian?
That is incorrect.
Oh.
Can you go for the list
You
again?
have- Go for Pete.
Healer?
That is incorrect. So
Oh no.
I'll do the list for you again, as you asked, Nathan. You had Cleric, Fighter,
No.
Magic
so.
User, Thief. What was the 5th?
Oh, I think I have another guess.
I have one other guess also.
I'll let Nathan have
Yeah.
a stab at this. Got to start the timer. 10 seconds.
Yeah, my brain went straight to Bard.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. Well, no one's going to get the point, but Sarone and Pete, what were your guesses?
The
I was going to say
druid.
druid, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the same one.
Unfortunately, neither of you were correct. Even the
Oh,
second one.
what is it?
It is monk.
Oh,
Oh!
First edition monks
Hey,
were masters of unarmed combat and gained a grab bag of abilities like immunity to disease, faking death, and speaking with plants.
I should have just gone the dungeon defenders. There's a monk in there.
Alright, I'm still winning. Don't worry, guys.
Hey guys, I think Crafty fucked this entire group of podcasters because we have not played any of the
I
previous
think
versions.
if Chad was in this one, I think he would be
Oh,
dominating
God.
by now.
Oh yeah, Chad would have a great time.
You fucked this.
You wrote this specifically to destroy my win streak, Crafty, and that's what you did.
Hey, you're technically winning right now. I don't know what you're complaining
Yeah.
about.
You thought Chad was going to be here.
Number 6. The measure of a character's current health in D&D is called what? Go to Pete.
Hit points, HP.
Correct. See?
Nailed it.
They're not all terrible.
Wow!
You've gone from
Gave us a basic bitch.
you've gone from what was special about the second edition monster manual to what is health measured in?
You went from hey, let's see how you guys are putting D.
How many questions are left, Crafty?
Got a couple.
Okay.
I hate you.
All right. Yeah. What's next?
Question.
That'd be 5e related.
Question number 7. Which 9th level spell has appeared in every edition of D&D? Go for Pete.
Wish.
That is correct.
A third.
Number 8. What classic D&D monster terrified players not because it might kill their characters, but because it would destroy their equipment? Go for Nathan.
I don't know why my brain went to Tiamat.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. Go for Sarone.
Beholder?
That is incorrect. Pete, it's on you.
Okay, so I actually think I know this one,
Mm-hmm.
and but I'm trying to remember what it's called. But I'm pretty sure it's one of the like sludge type creatures.
Oh.
Because I'm trying to remember if it's the grey or the yellow one. Which I'm just black pudding.
I'm afraid that is incorrect. The
What's it
answer
called?
was Rust Monster.
Oh.
Oh, interesting. Never heard of that one. But
bizarre-
I know
Hmm.
there is a sludge type creature that also destroys stuff.
So the bizarre insectile rust monster could even destroy magic weapons.
Oh.
That the others can't do. That's kind of gross.
That's scary.
Yes, better not tell Rumpel about it.
Oh, yes, we have so
Sure,
many
he
magic
already
items.
knows.
Number 9. What company published D&D from the game's creation until it was purchased by Wizards of the Coast in 1997?
It's in the big Crafty.
I've heard
Get
of
in the
this,
bin.
but I don't remember it.
Yeah, me
Get
neither.
in that bin, Crafty. I don't know the answer to this. Get in the bin.
I'm gonna pass on this one because I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Nope, I can't remember it.
So the
Oh,
I
answer
don't know
hate
it.
myself.
Shut up.
was TSR. Stands for Tactical
Oh.
Studies Rules.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of that, but I think
Yeah.
I've heard of it in a
I
different
have
context.
never heard of that in my life.
Right. So, number 10.
Crafty should get in the bin.
STR DEX INT WIS CHA. What's missing? Go for Pete.
CON.
That's correct.
Yeah, Constitution, baby.
Right, question number 11. Gary Gygax created D&D. This hugely popular game was originally an afterthought to which game also created by Gary Gygax?
No idea.
What?
Yeah, D&D was... Oh, I'll read a little bit more about it in a minute. But yeah, it was an
Wait.
afterthought game that was it came from a different game that he had created.
Uh,
You gotta say this again.
Something-
Crafty, get in the bin.
something. It should be something that still exists, but
I'm a pass.
Mm-hmm. Sharon, I'll give you 10 seconds.
yeah,
One.
nothing comes to mind.
Okay, no problem. So, D&D started as an afterthought to Chainmail, an earlier game created by
Oh.
Gygax.
Never heard of it.
Using
Nope.
Gygax's fantasy rules, Arneson created the first D&D prototype, Blackmore. And Blackmore is the name of a fictional world created by David Arneson in 1971. It is also the prototype for Dungeons & Dragons, the first published role-playing game. And like other fantasy worlds, such as J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth, Blackmore is a living world that is being explored to in this day. Right, so we have Pete with 4 points, Cerrone and Nathan with 0. However, it can all change with this final one. I'm not going to say this question now. I'm going to do one at a time because there are multiple answers.
Oh,
I've
no.
learned from the
Oh, no.
last time we did this the advantages that people get for sitting around waiting for the others to play. So, we're going to go with Cerrone. If you could jump into the other VC for us.
Okay.
Okay, Cerrone, here we go. What I need from you, buddy, in your 60 seconds is to list as many 9th level spells that you can think of. Starting now.
Wish. I think there was Mass Heal. I think that's a 9. Something called... What was it? No. Dimensional Door is not... I think Gate?
What, just gate?
I think so.
30 seconds.
Do I know any more? That's 3. No clue. What could it be? I know there's something else. God. I've only looked at the cleric ones.
And that's time.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very
know.
much. Right, we're going to go back to the other room. Please do not tell the others what you have, what
Yeah.
we're looking over. But thank you. Okay, right. Now, if we could have Nathan come over to the next room.
Hey.
So,
Okay, Nathan, here we go. You are going to have 60 seconds on the clock to name as many 9th level spells according to Wikidot for 5e D&D. Your time starts now.
I hate you. Just... Dimension Door. I don't think Wish is one, but I'll say Wish. I think not Teleport, but one that. I think it's Teleport. I think it's called Teleport. Meteor. Going off the top of my head. God, the sad thing is I don't know that many spells. I know it's not one, but I'm just gonna say Magic Missile, even though I know it's not a 9th level spell. Say it for fun of it. No, I don't think that's fine.
And that's time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much,
Ooh,
buddy.
my 4 numbers. Let's go.
And please don't let Pete know what we
I won't.
mentioned. We'll go to the other room.
I don't want.
They were. I don't know if the answers I gave were correct ones even, because I simply don't remember.
Saran, you haven't been telling Pete what we've just been talking about, have you?
All
No.
he basically said was, I don't know, I did awfully, and I think you'll do okay. That was basically the gist of it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no more talk, gentlemen. Pete, move over to the next room.
Me and Stu.
Oh god, I'm so stressed. I don't know why.
Peter, welcome. You will have 60 seconds to name, according to Wikidoc, for 5e D&D, there are 22 9th level spells. You have 60 seconds
kidding me?
to name as many 9th level spells as you can think of, starting now.
I have. Oh god, I've got no idea. I know Wish, obviously. What else is a 9th level spell? True Resurrection, maybe? That might be like 8th. I think that's 8th. 9th level. I've never got that high crafted.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I have no idea. I'm gonna kick myself in 20 seconds when I look all this up, because my brain is just refusing to function. 9th level spells. Make plane shift? I don't. Oh my god. There's a transforming one, and I've completely forgot what it's called. Change shape. Shape change. It's called shape change. I think that might be lower than 9th.
And that's time.
7th. I have no idea. That was awful. I hate you.
And we'll go back
All
to
right.
the other room. Okay, gentlemen.
awful.
Wow. Okay, interesting. All right, so just bear with me for a moment while I have a quick look and see how many of these you all got right. So we're going with Sarone here.
Completely
Okay,
nothing.
Yeah, okay. Then we got Nathan. Okay. Yep, okay. Yep, okay.
Oh no.
Oh, no, there was more.
Seriously? How many did you get, Nathan?
Not that many. I said that. I didn't
Okay,
say that many numbers.
now we got P. Yep.
Oh,
I'm guessing Pete got more than me and Nathan combined.
Okay.
I think I got 3.
Oh.
I think I may have done.
Yeah,
I think I got 2 or 1.
Right. So, in that last question, Sarone got 3 points.
Oh.
Nathan got 12 points. I'm joking. He got 1 point.
Oh god, I was like,
Bloody hell! I was about to be like, what?
I think I only named one.
One
there.
of
I was
them. One of them.
What?
Nathan, you only gave me half an answer for, so unfortunately I couldn't count it.
Oh, it's because I'm looking at the book right now. I went, yeah.
And Pete also got 3 points. So that's
Wait, which ones did?
so you all got
Sarone
Wish.
get?
You all got
Obviously.
Wish. Sarone also got Mass Heal and Gate.
the only level 20 character I've ever looked at is a cleric.
Nathan nearly got Meteor Swarm, but only said Meteor. Pete got True Resurrection and Shape Change.
I
I'll
think
take my
True
half
Resurrection is also a cleric one. I remember hearing about
It
it.
is a
my
cleric
half
one, yeah.
a point. I'll take my half a point and laugh.
It didn't come to mind at all.
I have very rarely looked up level 9 spells. I was just like, what?
Same here.
So-
we're just sat here like we don't know spells.
We wrap this quiz up with Nathan with 1 point, Sarone with 3 points, and our victor for tonight's Mastering the Dungeon is Pete with 7 points.
Are you doing like a total winning thing as well?
I would. I don't know.
God.
I actually have generally lost count of how many times Pete has won.
Too many.
Oh,
I'm going to say this. I'm biased.
I'm sorry, guys. I have a reputation to uphold.
I'm sorry.
that last
brain.
question completely threw me, though. To be fair,
I thought you were going.
Because he has no spells.
I thought you were going to destroy us.
I've never looked them up. I don't look them up.
I've
never really looked them up. I just kind of guessed.
I would like to thank my guests tonight, Sarone, Nathan, and Peter, for joining us. This has been quite a long session. I think, to be fair, though, it's been a while since the last session, so it only makes sense. It's quite a long
nice
episode.
juicy long one, guys. Yeah, nice juicy long one today.
Viewers, if you've enjoyed this content, please hit the like button, smash that subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, leave a comment down below. What did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy? Do you have any topics for us that you wish to cover? Next session, we're going to be looking at things like character deaths and a few other bits and pieces.
Oh no!
But tell us down below. What do you consider to be toxic behaviour? How do you think about some of the examples we've spoken about? Is there ways that you have dealt with situations like this before? What are your own sort of situations? Let us know in the comments below. Sarone, if you'd like to say your goodbye, sir.
Well, goodbye. I'm sorry I didn't answer any of the questions except for the last one. Don't know much.
And Nathan?
I hope you enjoyed my crappy answer at the end of that last question where I just said magic missile just for the fun of it.
Hey, every spell is a level 9 spell if you upcast high enough.
I just said magic missile for the fun of it.
And Pete?
I'm not a toxic player, I swear. I feel like too many things today have made it sound like I am, but I swear I'm not. Thanks.
He's not toxic, guys. He's not toxic. Sorry, trust me, guys. Please, don't bully him.
Goodbye, mateys. We'll see you next time.
So you're Cayenne Wrath.
This just got a whole lot worse.
We have to stop him.
If you fail this, it will mean the end for you.
It's the only way to make things right.
Don't do it, Swole.
Stomp!
Are you sure you want to do this?
I'm about to Kyle Rittenhouse these bitches.